Friends, we are today on the fourth day of the party congress. And yesterday we have adopted the political resolution, which is the main document before the congress. And following that, the political organization report was presented last evening by me on behalf of the Central Committee. The discussions on that draft political organization report have begun this morning, and 15 delegates have already spoken on the report, and this discussion will continue till late evening today, and we hope to conclude the discussions tonight. After which tomorrow this report will be taken up for adoption. The political organization report, as is our practice, is a review of the work done by the party since the last Congress, in this case 4 years ago. The political work that was undertaken on the basis of the previous political resolution and the organizational work that was undertaken, both are reviewed, because it's on the basis of a review that we set forth our future political direction and also our organizational tasks. So this is essentially a review of the work done in the past 4 years. And unlike other parties, we undertake a self-critical review of the work, which we present before the Congress. A self-critical review would mean it would be an examination, a scanning of the work done to see what has been achieved or what progress has been made and what are the shortcomings or weaknesses in our political and organizational work. And since this is a report of the Politburo and the Central Committee, we subject our work to a self-critical review, not of the states. That is done by the state conferences. But this review would help the Congress to set forth the future tasks. These 4 years have been not ordinary. It's not been an ordinary period. As you know, 2 years went under the COVID pandemic. So that limitation or difficulty has been there. Some of the things we could have done or should have done, we could not do because of the restrictions on public activity, political activities, etc. But overall, our review shows that our party was active, intervened. There were two major mass movements in the country. One against the Citizenship Amendment Act, which saw widespread, as you know, protests all over the country. And our party was also active in these protests and in participating and mobilizing people in this protest. The second has been the historic farmers' struggle, which went on for a year around Delhi, in 5 sites around Delhi. And our party and the Kisan Front, according to our strength, put all our resources into mobilizing the farmers, supporting their dharna, providing rations, food, etc. Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. These were the 5 states which were directly involved in the front line of this struggle. And we have been, though we are not such a big force, but we were a most organized force which helped unite all sections. The third aspect which we looked at is during the COVID pandemic, from the beginning, that is from March of 2020, our party units at all levels in all states immediately got involved in relief work, relief activities, helping migrant workers who were on the move, providing rations, providing food kits, providing medical supplies or material, and during the second wave, oxygen cylinders and running COVID relief centers, and thousands of volunteers were out helping. Like in West Bengal, more than 10,000 Red volunteers were engaged in these relief activities. So the party could, despite the COVID, be amongst the people in most states or parts of the country. We have gone through all that and also reviewed the election which took place in this 4-year period. Not only the Lok Sabha election, but there have been a number of assembly elections. About, I think, 10 or 12 assembly elections were held in this period. So our electoral intervention and our performance, etc., has been reviewed. And of course, the second part is concerning our organization. Here also there are 2 distinct periods, pre-COVID and after the COVID pandemic. We have, I think, circulated, I don't know whether they have circulated it, yes, a membership chart showing the membership at the time of the last Congress in 2018 and the membership last year, that is 2021. There is some fall in the membership, which is not abnormal given the fact that the pandemic, there was a fall actually greater in 2020, the year, because we have a very systematic process of renewal of members between January and March. And the March was affected, the pandemic, the lockdown. So there was a fall. It is now gradually picking up again, as you will see in 2021. But more importantly, we have accepted that we could not fulfill many of the decisions or tasks which we undertook after the last party congress. Some of it is because of our weaknesses in the party center and the Politburo, and some were, of course, because of factors beyond our control, like the fact that we could not conduct normal organizational and political activities for periods of time during the pandemic. Anyway, all this is being looked at, but the entire focus of this report is how to build up the independent strength of the party at a time when 2 of the 3 strong bases of our party, West Bengal and Tripura, are still under severe attack, where there is severe repression by the BJP in Tripura, government there, and the TMC, ruling party in West Bengal. In this period, 36 of our comrades were killed by the TMC in West Bengal in this period since the last party congress. And thousands more are still facing attacks every day. Elections are not held fairly. Just now, recently the municipal elections were held. And now the rigging of elections starts before the election. They don't let you file nomination. They prevent candidates of the opposition to go and file their nomination. The panchayat election, municipal corporation elections, all those attacks are there. So naturally, it has caused a setback to our party organization and also affected to some extent our strength and influence. So in that situation in Tripura and West Bengal, Kerala of course is an exception, how to regain or regroup and build up the independent strength of the party, that will be the focus of the organizational steps that we are going to propose after the discussion in the Polog report. We are going to place more emphasis on the quality of the party membership. We are going to place more emphasis on the composition of the party in terms of the age, more younger people in the party, in terms of the gender composition. We have made some progress in these two in some states in the past few years, but much more needs to be done. And streamlining the party organization to be able to face the BJP and the RSS and their political, ideological and authoritarian offensive. Not in places like Kerala, where we are already strong, we don't have that problem, but particularly in the states where the BJP has now entrenched itself, mainly in northern India and western India. We are going to pay more attention to the political, ideological and organizational work that is required to build the party and strengthen it. But that can be done only by fighting uncompromisingly against the BJP, RSS and its Hindutva ideology. Unlike many parties now who are wavering, who are compromising with the Hindutva ideology, we feel that it's only by putting up a stiff battle to counter the RSS and the Hindutva forces, only that way our party can grow. So that is going to be the emphasis which will come out of this discussion, I think. So that's all I have to say about the political organizational report. We have adopted some resolutions yesterday evening and today. There are, I think, 4 or 5 resolutions. The first one is about the LDF government and its achievements, which we hope to project all over the country as part of the alternative that we pose to the BJP central government's policies. The second is the burning issue of unemployment and the demands that are there now to at least alleviate or meet some of the acute problem of unemployment. And the third is the national monetization pipeline which the government announced last year, which is actually a sale of public assets to the tune of 6 lakh crores of rupees over a period of 5 years. Everything is going to be up for sale. They say it will be a long lease, but eventually it is a transfer of public assets at throwaway prices. So against this loot, it's not just privatization of public sector units, it's much wider than that. So it's about that. And the last one is on solidarity with the Palestinian cause or struggle for their independence. So these have been adopted apart from the discussions on the organizational report. So that's all I have to say now. One minute. Somebody is there. Somebody's got a...
Comrade,
Somebody has a mic there.
Comrade, no, Prakash, here at the end. Where is he?
Yes.
Yeah. No, what I want to ask is that we understand that there is a reference in the Polo report about, since you referred to the quality of membership, there is a reference, I'm told, in the Polo that many of the cadre doesn't understand the danger posed by BJP even after 8 years of Modi rule. And also that, you couldn't do the rectification campaign properly, the kind of directions given by the 2015 plenum.
You see, as far as the first point you raised, yes, we have noted this not in places where the BJP is already strong, but in states where there has been earlier no strong BJP or influence of the BJP, now BJP is growing. So they don't see the coming danger. In Uttar Pradesh or Madhya Pradesh or Gujarat, everybody knows what BJP is and what their politics is and what is their communal polarization. But there are states where now BJP is penetrating, particularly in South India. Now they are trying to enter Telangana. They are not very strong in Andhra Pradesh. They are trying to enter. In other states, Odisha, all that. So there, our parties used to fighting the ruling party there, say, a regional party, who are in government. So they think that is the main problem, but they are not seeing the BJP coming in. So we are saying that they have no experience of BJP also. So they are not yet conscious of what the BJP means or portends. So that we are alerting, we have noted that and say we have to educate our cadres about the potential threat posed by the BJP. That's one point. The second point, rectification. No, rectification is something which has to be an ongoing process, a continuous process. We have said that we could not do it this period after last party congress, mainly because we are concentrating on improving the quality of membership. So that itself is a process. We are trying hard to ensure that. So we have said that at that time we could not concentrate on rectification, which we have said now should be taken up after the party congress.
And one more point, since you mentioned this rectification and you have decided to highlight the achievements of the left democratic government in Kerala, but you're also concerned about the reformist trend in the party. How do you, particularly in the context of the many projects in Kerala also, the kind of reformist trend?
Reformism for us is not connected with any projects or...
No, I'm not talking about specific, the approach I'm saying.
It's a reformist practices in the party and organization. Reformist methods and reformist outlook in party organization we are talking about. So that we have been saying earlier also. We keep repeating parliamentarism, reformism. We are constantly saying we have to be guarded against that or be vigilant. And whenever such trends appear, we have to step in and nip it in the bud. That is a general formulation. Yes.
Comrade, here. Comrade, what is wrong with the Hindutva agenda? You mean the party is anti-Hindu? This is the place, Kerala, from many of the youths, that too educated youths, were recruited to ISIS. And your party is keeping mum on Muslim fundamentalism. Why?
First of all, I don't know whether you are equating Hindutva with Hindu. Hindutva does not mean Hinduism. Hindutva is a political project. As the guru of Hindutva, V.D. Savarkar said, Hindutva is a political project, he said. It has nothing to do with religious thing. So, just like Hindutva is a political project, there is Islamism, which is called Islamist globally. That's also a political project. Those people who want to establish Islamic State. So we don't differentiate between those. But in our country today, Hindutva poses the greater danger. Because the ruling party, the state is now guided by a party which believes Hindutva should be established. That means Hindu majoritarian rule should be established. And will not see other people belonging to other religious communities on an equal footing. That is our objection. If the same type of thing comes through Islamist ideology or organization, we'll oppose it also. So, you're talking about some people who have been recruited in Kerala and went to Islamic State. Obviously, they are people who are misguided and they went. And that threat, if it increases in Kerala, we will definitely take a strong position on it. But right now, that is not the problem. Because the state itself here is promoting a divisive ideology, you see. These are small groups, fringe groups. So, that we don't condone such activities, but the main threat today is posed by the, what we may call the state ideology today.
Comrade, one more question. Yesterday, Comrade Prakash Karat pointed out that Shabarimala issue will be discussed and debated. Does the party think that the state government failed in handling that issue?
No. I don't know in what context she said it. Not debated in the party. In society itself, there is in the context of the Supreme Court, having taken a judgment, now they are reviewing that. That will be the discussion and debate. And on that basis, some understanding can be evolved. The matter came up because of a court judgment. It didn't come up because of any political decision in Kerala. It came out of a Supreme Court verdict. That Supreme Court has now referred it to a larger bench with wider reference. So let them give that. When that comes, we say that will have to be discussed. And on that basis, some common understanding in society will have to be evolved. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that must be the context in which she made that remarks.
Yeah, comrade, here. Yeah, here only.
Yeah.
So you have spoken in your introductory words that the draft organizational political report, it is basically a self-critical review of what happened during the last 4 years. That means from the last party congress to the Kannur party congress. So when you take a critical review, it also brings into focus the question of accountability. So during these last 4 years, two major electoral debacles took place. One in 2019, the left in 2019 Lok Sabha election. In 2004, CPM had 43 members in Lok Sabha. Now it has been reduced to 3 members. And your voting percentage, it also shrank to 1.73%. And in the last 5 state assembly elections, you have lost your bastion in Bengal. Not even a single member in Bengal Legislative Assembly. So when you take stock of these setbacks, how the leadership owns up the responsibility, because in bourgeois parties like Congress, when there was a major setback in 2019, Rahul Gandhi, the then president of Congress, he resigned. So is such corrective mechanisms or is such
but
owning of
de facto
responsibility?
president still.
No. You don't have president, but you have general
Yeah, but he's
secretary.
the de facto president still.
No. That was a gesture. Anyway, that was
Yeah,
a
anyway, I'll
gesture.
tell you. I'll answer this. No need.
So
Election-
how the
we
leadership
have
of CPM is
your,
taking it?
your understanding of elections, how bourgeois parties look at elections, and how we look at elections totally different. We don't project one leader and a face for the election, and that person is responsible for the victory or defeat.
So there
Right,
was
just listen. When we win an election, it is a collective victory. When we lose the election, it's a collective responsibility. Nobody is held accountable because it is not, no individuals, according to us, decide the elections for us. It is what the party puts out, what is the party's program or manifesto before the people, and how effectively our party leadership, who are there in the election, are able to reach to the people. So, our party has not been successful in elections most of the time. Why only one or two? If you look at the history, how many elections have we won? Except you can point a few elections in Kerala and earlier in West Bengal and Tripura. We generally lose elections. We are not worried about that. For us, election victories are not the main thing. Is our party and movement growing? Then it will reflect in some electoral victory. So we are not working all our lives to win some elections. That is one part, small part of our job. So our collective accountability which you talk about is for in other areas which are more important for us. If there is an ideological failure in our party, if some people deviate ideologically, that will be held accountable more. Or the political, ideological responsibility. So, electoral thing is not the major area for us to take accountability for. If that is the case, most of our people who have fought elections and lost the election, you say, you are responsible for losing the election, you go. So, the party takes that responsibility. You see? So, that's not a major question for us.
Yeah, that leads. Hello, yeah, one second.
One by one.
Yeah, just one more question. As you rightly said, the party collectively takes the responsibility.
What?
And no, the party collectively takes the responsibility as far as the electoral battles are concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that leads me to another question, because I recall your article in 2016 January, if I think it right, in the Indian Express. That was written in the aftermath of the Kolkata plenum, I think, organizational plenum. And it was titled Winning Back the People.
Huh?
That article in Indian Express was titled Winning Back the People. You wrote an article in Indian Express way back in 2016. And that focused on improving the quality of the composition of the party. And you pointed out that the plenum has stressed that the quality of the composition of the party has to go up, it has to be enhanced.
Correct.
And so social justice has to be factored in. And for that, the party plenum really focused on increasing the membership of the women and also the Dalit community. So now, this 23rd Party Congress.
No. See, anyway, when you get this, our report, the Kolkata plenum on which I wrote, the two weaknesses we noted was the youth composition and the women composition. It was not Dalit. If you look at our Dalit membership of the party, it is above the national average.
Yeah, you referred to it in your article. You
Overall
referred to this
social
point in
composition,
article.
yes. So that is the two things we are focusing on. We are monitoring it every year when our membership renewal is done. So we have noted which are the states which have improved the membership in women, improved the youth membership. We have noted that which have not done so or lagged behind. So constantly we will be monitoring it. But that's an ongoing process.
Comrade, human beings have the capacity to intervene. And when leadership intervenes, only some major changes take place. So my question is, in this party congress, where the leadership can really take some bold, right decisions, will the leadership take a decision to bring in a Dalit face into the Politburo?
That you have to wait and see. You will know by, today is what? By tomorrow afternoon you will know.
Okay,
I can't say anything before that. Because we'll be taking a decision tomorrow on the new leadership composition So by tomorrow afternoon, you can ask me that.
Comrade.
No, it's not ideological. It is the political, the electoral tactical line which we decided was that there should be some understanding with the Congress and other secular forces or parties which are against TMC and BJP. That means some electoral understanding should be there. That is already decided and approved by the Central Committee. But they went a little further ahead and formed a front. Of course, they didn't mean it as a front. They thought Kisan agitation is going on, Samyukta Kisan Morcha, popular term. So they said Samyukta Morcha we are forming. So we said that was not warranted. Calling this a Samyukta Morcha is not warranted. That we have said was not correct. But their having an understanding of the Congress was not something which they went against our understanding. No, that is not now. We have already said long ago, the DMK has an alliance. And they have had Congress not now, much earlier. Before that also the left was with them. And we have an understanding with the DMK on seats. The Congress has, and we fight the election jointly. That has been there going on for a long time. Because our understanding is basically with the DMK. And Congress also is there. Same thing with Bihar, RJD. We used to have understanding with the RJD, and the RJD also has an understanding with Congress. We've always had that. No, these are all regional parties. We have said there is no scope for any All India alliance now. I thought Comrade Sitaram had made that clear in his press conference.
Comrade.
Some combination may emerge after the election. But right now, it will be in the states. Because whether we like it or not, if the regional parties are the force which will be there in many states who can fight the BJP. The Congress has lost that capacity in many places. So it's a much more variegated picture. So we have said maximize the anti-BJP pooling of votes state-wise.
Comrade, CPM and...
No, obviously, I said now in West Bengal it will be anti-BJP, anti-TMC. We don't consider TMC a democratic party. People who unleash such fascist violence against us, who won't allow you to work, who will not allow you to contest election, who kill your people, terrorize their families, we don't consider them. But if they want to fight BJP, let them fight BJP. That's a different matter. We have nothing to do with them.
Comrade, CPM and Kisan Sabha have successfully organized farmers' protest and,
No.
you know, in a way played a key role in changing the negative attitudes of the BJP. But your membership in the Hindi heartland and the farm belt does not reflect that growth. Have you analyzed the reasons behind it?
No, you see, we don't claim that we have organized that movement. 500 Kisan organizations came together. In that, the Kisan organizations of Punjab played a very important role. The maximum mobilization. Entire villages were mobilized in Punjab. Now, we are a very small force in Punjab. We have something in Rajasthan. Because the Kisan, our party has developed because of the Kisan movement in Rajasthan. But we are hardly a force in Haryana, next door, in Western UP. So this movement has given us an opportunity to enter the Kisans in these areas. If we do some work and consolidate, then some result will be there. We cannot claim automatically that our party's influence will grow.
Comrade, this side.
Yes.
Comrade, in 2018, the party contested in Telangana as part of Bahujana Left Front. So mainly it was a combination of caste-based organization. So is there any deviation from the party side because you are standing
there
for the?
any?
Is there any ideological deviation because you are standing
Yes,
for?
we have said that. We had all, at that time, our central committee had adopted a resolution and we had gone to Telangana and explained it and made them correct it. You see. There was a wrong notion that we can get all these oppressed castes together and form a front and that will be a political force. We said it does not work out that way, first of all. We know how caste organizations are. They don't have any consistent politics, you see. So you can't rely on these caste organizations saying they're OBC or they're Dalit, they'll come with you. They'll come with you on some issues, but you can't build a political formation of front. So that was corrected after that.
And one more thing, Comrade, what is your introspection on the weak position of the party in the national politics? I am asking, is it because of your party was only concentrating in the parliamentary politics than the non-parliamentary activities?
No, anybody who knows the CPIM will know that if we get weakened in Bengal and Tripura, 2/3 of our party is weakened. That is a reality. What was our strength? You are talking about parliamentary politics. Parliamentary politics, we were strong because the maximum representation in parliament used to come from West Bengal. Somebody mentioned 43 were there. Out of that 43, 35 had come from West Bengal at that time, 34 or 33. So once that base, for whatever reason, got weakened or eroded, your presence in the national politics in terms of parliament got weakened. That's a fact.
Comrade, here. Comrade, yesterday, here. I am here. Yesterday, Home Minister Amit Shah made a very important statement. He is out all to study Hindi and all to study Hindi compulsory and all the interstate communication. It should be done in Hindi instead of English.
I think not only interstate communication.
People's
He
communication.
said beyond that, people to people, they must communicate in Hindi of different states. You see, that is going beyond, I can understand because they can say official language, so some state communication can be in Hindi. He is trying to now say that even people to people communication, the language should be Hindi. And he meant some things about Northeast India also, which I think is very harmful. Because the people of the Northeast will resent imposition of Hindi and Devanagari script, he says, will be used in all the Northeastern languages now. So this is their old slogan. One nation, one language, one culture. You see. This will not be accepted by large parts. We all know Hindi is spoken by the largest number of people in India. And in the natural process of economic development, etc., Hindi, if it grows and becomes popular and used by more and more people, it will acquire that pace. You can't decide by official diktat that Hindi should become the language of communication. That has been our position. And Indian languages, the equality of all Indian languages, they're all national languages under our constitution. That equality of Indian languages must also be respected.
Despite the constraints mentioned by you, you have been able to be part of a couple of mass movements, like you mentioned.
Sorry?
No, despite the constraints over the last 4 years, you have been part of a few movements, mass movements as well, like the anti-CAA protests, the farmers' protests and all that. But then, you just mentioned that electoral victory is not the prime most or the single most important thing as far as CPM is concerned. But then, the Kerala model is at the same time being projected all over India as an alternative, which means, in a way, electoral victory is also significant. Yes. So, why is it that, or have you been able to analyze and put your finger on the factors which prevented you from converting this, the mass support into electoral victory?
No, I mentioned two particular mass movements. One, the anti-CA movement. Now, as you know, it directly affected the minority community, the question of citizenship. So that movement had two aspects. One is the minorities' rights were under attack, so they came out in large numbers. There was a wider mobilization of all secular-minded people who saw this also as an attack on our constitution and the concept of citizenship. I think this was the first major mass movement against the Hindutva ideology, which was being implemented. Unfortunately, as you know, the movement got stopped or aborted because of COVID. In fact, that Shaheen Bagh protest was continuing, and with the lockdown, total lockdown, they had to call it off. Huh? Yeah, but that all could have been faced, you see. Various things could have been faced. But once the total lockdown, that movement had to be stopped. So one was that. And all I am saying is that I am not looking at how you can translate immediately to electoral. If this movement had continued, the left would have made gains in new sections of people and areas, according to us. Because we saw wherever we participated in the protest, huge mobilizations. And a section of Muslim women and men came out not on the slogans of their community. They came out as citizens, saying, we are citizens, we have constitutional rights. All their placards and thing was, we defend the constitution, defend citizenship rights. So that was actually a secularizing movement in one sense, you see. But that got unfortunately stopped. It would have helped the left to advance, I think. As far as the Kisan movement, I told you this is concentrated in these 4 or 5 states. But it is also these states, except Punjab, where already the BJP is very strong, Hindutva is very strong. So, it has made some dent, like in Western UP. People thought that BJP will be defeated totally. It was not. Their seats came down. But the fight against the Hindutva forces and their ideology is a much more protracted one, according to me. That's the point we have stressed here in our political resolution and in this organizational report.
Comrade, one question.
I might have returned to my discussion.
Last question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have very rightly pointed out Hindutva is the greatest threat facing India. And you also mentioned that Hindutva has become the state ideology. And in this context, you know that the Communist parties always held that the state is a representative of the Indian big bourgeoisie and the landlord class. What is the reason why this Indian big landlord class and the big bourgeoisie shifted their loyalty from Congress to the BJP? Don't you think that we need a little more...
I cannot answer it in 1 or 2 sentences. That is my problem. But it's a very valid question. You see, I was shocked. In 2016, I think, Ratan Tata went to Nagpur to pay obeisance to the RSS chief, Bhagwat, and go to the Hedgewar's Samadhi and pay. I saw in the picture of it. Now everybody knows Ratan Tata and the Tata Group is the most secular of the big business houses. They're not even Hindu, they're Parsi, you know that. But the big business in India has now become an ally, a partner with the Hindutva forces. That partly explains the strength of the Hindutva offensive also now. So the rest of that I can't say now.